Thanks for joining for step 2 in the 5 vital steps that families should be taking to get financially secure in the midst of a crisis. Step 2 is to stay mentally focused and mentally healthy. It can only be built upon step 1, which is stay physically well. But after we get the physical part done, it allows us to take the next step to making sure we're thinking clearly in our head and in our heart. And what does that mean? It means that a lot of times we're our own worst enemies. Our thoughts, our fears are causing chaos and confusion within us, and it allows us to make no progress in any way we were created to. And so if we can follow a few practices to make sure we're thinking clearly and understanding who we are and why we are, and asking big questions about this life, and being willing to uncover maybe some of the dark parts of our thinking and challenge our thinking, I think what we will find is that there is a lot to discover and unlock within us. In fact, that a lot of the things we don't have and we ask for, it's not because the world has been unfair to us, but we'll find that it's actually that we haven't taken advantage of what we've already been created to seize for ourselves. How do we do that? Well, first, you have to control the fuel that you're putting in your mind. In the same way you can control the fuel that you ingest for your physical health, you have to control what your mind is ingesting from this world that has its own agenda and messages it's throwing at all of us incessantly throughout our lifetimes. So you have to control those messages, and you have to make sure they're messages that really you think are representing the truth. Now that's complex and hard to do, but I think you can automatically clear out a lot of what's already come into our lives and your life, and saying, I know that's not helping me discover something meaningful and real and true. I need to control that messages and maybe block out a lot of the messaging, a lot of the media that's coming into my life. And instead, I need to open up sources that what is true, what does cause me to open my mind and see things in a way that they were meant to be seen. One of my favorite speakers puts it this way: you've got to get rid of stinking thinking and practice an attitude of gratitude. And I would encourage you to be bold in that. Start to take steps, baby steps. Again, you don't have to be perfect, but baby steps. Here's one practice you might consider. For an attitude of gratitude, start writing down the things you are thankful for. Not just listen them off in your head, but taking a timer, setting a 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute timer, and for that whole time, just write down what you're thankful for. And you'll see that there's actually probably a lot there that you weren't even considering on a regular basis, which already starts to shift the way you and I think and unleash some of the bounds that maybe we have up here in the noggin. Another tool that I encourage you to do is to be willing to be bold in asking yourself and examine your motives and true values, and perhaps even opening that up to a trusted friend. And even better than a trusted friend is maybe welcoming somebody new into your life that you aspire to be more like. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. It doesn't have to be somebody who's high profile. It might be a neighbor or a close friend or someone who goes to your church who would probably be willing to give you 10 minutes of their time on a weekly basis just to help you bounce ideas off of, reflect, or ask you hard questions. It doesn't always have to be in person or via video call. It could be just, would you text me some hard questions and require that I answer them honestly? It's a great practice to get into, of putting ourselves in a place where we can challenge some of our deepest assumptions and sometimes discover some assumptions that we're making here that are really dangerous, or maybe just not dangerous, but holding us back from the greatest adventures we were created for. So, step 1, physically well and healthy. Step 2, mentally well and healthy. Those are a couple of practices that you can start pursuing to make sure we are thinking clearly. That leads us to the last 3, specifically financial steps that we can start to do in the midst of a crisis and this pandemic. Join us next time for step 3.